Hey guys, this is Koyota, and I'm here with...
Adam.
and we're going to be talking about the red shards, also known as the Conjure shards, in the game. What we'll be doing here is essentially covering what they do, and, you know, what's good about them, or if they're unconventional and all that. And then after that, we're going to give it a ranking, like, hey, yeah, this is great, or use it, or, it's kind of unconventional, it's for crazy people, or it's you know, depends on the player. So let's get started. Alright, so Thrashing Tentacle's our first one. This is a screen coverage spell. It's actually, it's not bad in the beginning. It's a good beginner spell. High cost at the beginning, so you might only get to use this once or twice. But, it's pretty okay for what it does. Not so good damage when you compare it to other shards you get later, unfortunately. Even when you rank this baby all the way up. But what you do get with it is a nice screen kill on weaker enemies. It's not bad, but you won't use it later on.
I can say it's something I never really used that much early on. As you said, the MP cost is a bit too high for it to be that useful. It's something you might use on early bosses if you want to deal a chunk of damage.
Exactly. It's good at first, and then it loses its value later. And without, you know, and this is when you actually keep into New Game Plus, correct? So perhaps it gets a little better when you grade it up every New Game Plus, but that's pretty insane to do, because you'd still have to, I believe, beat the game to New Game Plus once again. So if I had to give that a ranking, I would say it's you know, it's just a because you're not gonna use it after you start getting some other spells, especially the next ones we'll cover soon. What about you? What's your ranking?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool, but I mean, especially just seeing this giant tentacle fly out of the wall. But it's not something I ever found to be very useful.
Alrighty.
So I'd say, you know, meh. It's okay. It's okay.
And meh. Alright, there's your rankings, guys. So, Bloodsteel, this one is kind of hard to talk about because it's ultra situational. I made the blood green just so I could figure out some way to get it to appear. I think we'll need a different area for this one, specifically right here.
Oh, I forgot that you can actually change blood.
Here we go. Yes, you can change blood color in this game, which is one thing I'll also discuss. I mean, maybe that's the fun part about having this spell. You can make the blood whatever color you want. Whoops, I forgot to apply that. Let's actually show that.
Does this change the color of the fountain?
Maybe not, because you know what? Look at that. The blood is actually still green here, even though I changed it to purple. So now we have purple and green. Let's suck that both in. And I would say, in terms of the healing it gives, it's actually better than, believe it or not, it's better than a passive ability you get later that heals you over time. If the blood is there, it's good. And if you're, you know, just grinding and you just need to do a quick heal and you don't want to waste your items, this isn't bad, but I literally pretty much did not use this after I used it for one puzzle element. So there is an achievement that comes with it, though, called Bloodstained, funny enough. And you apparently just need to absorb a lot of blood. But I'm sure if you... Well, no. You see, here's one problem, though. This is why I'm like, I don't think this is such a good ability regardless, though. Is because you don't keep it, since it has a puzzle element that lets you get to a further part of the game. So they take it away from you on the New Game Plus. So I don't know if you can possibly grade it up. I have not tested that yet. Maybe everything stays as is when you get it back. That might be the scenario. So say if that does happen, well, I don't know if getting higher grade will increase the recovery amount, because the array says the rank does that. But otherwise, I barely used it. You get pretty powerful in this game, and when you're fighting bosses, I don't believe they drop blood. They only drop blood after they're dead, so there's not really too much of a point to this other than for farming, most likely.
I'm not sure if that's true. They might leave blood just when you attack them. They might not. But either way, blood doesn't drop from every enemy, and as you need to be near walls or floors, and there's flying enemies, and it's just very situational.
You also need to use the correct weapon. If you've played Symphony of the Night, you know that you need to use swords to get blood to fall out of certain enemies. But as you see, like, not every enemy will, like, even though you see blood, it might not always land on the walls or the ground. They might not even bleed. So as he said, very situational. And situational, it's not, I don't have anything against situational necessarily, but I'm just not sure if it's honestly that good, other than, as I said, it's a nice resource conserver.
The most useful I found it was against the boss in the desert area. The
Oh,
sand
yes.
place.
That's right,
And
you told me.
Because for some reason that battlefield gets completely covered with blood and the whole time. But at the same time, the MP cost was quite high to do any decent healing.
That is true.
When I had it.
That is true. It does cost 80, just as much as the Thrashing Tentacle. So, so I guess, yeah, maybe blood does fall down on the ground. I didn't see that shows I didn't really use it much, but blood does fall down on the ground after you just typically slash the enemy. Then, typically, you know, similar to Symphony of the Night, except it actually stays there instead of you having to activate an ability and actually, you know, slash the enemy and whatnot. So, very situational. My opinion of it, I would just say it's kind of like, not really for me. But what about you, Adam?
I'm gonna say it's awesome just because of how cool it looks when you use it for the puzzle.
Yeah, I guess the visual style for it's really nice. I'll give it that. I do like the color. If there's one plus I can give it to the ranking, I'll just give it a plus for being able to choose. You know, like, this is useful. Like, this is more towards the visual style. You could change the color of the blood, and if you want to just go into the options and make a rainbow of blood and do blood steal, that's a thing you could do. I've actually tried that. It's beautiful. But yeah, that's the most I could say about it. Alright, so Draconic Rage. This one has a low drop rate at first, especially. Actually, no, it just has a low drop rate in general. But basically, it's Falcon Punch from a dragon. It's very, very powerful when you first get it. And it actually does have... If any of you have played Smash Bros before, this actually has a little a sweet spot, and the sweet spot is closer to the dragon. Towards the tip, it'll do only 200, as you see there. We're getting both hits in, but closer to the dragon, it will do 800. So the damage could be pretty massive. It does cost
one. Kind of weird, honestly.
Oh yeah?
Like, past the fist is when it does more damage, basically.
Yeah.
Like, closer towards the torso than the fist is when it does more damage.
Yeah, exactly. Right where the dragon is the most damage. It's so strange. And then, like, kind of around that area in front of it. Now, for 120, it's a good frontal screen option, because the damage is absolutely staggering, especially at the point you get it. This is very powerful, and if you have like 500 MP, you can actually kill, just to prove that point, you can actually kill a good chunk of the bosses in, I believe, like 5 hits with these. Oh, whoops, wrong place. I mean, for one, the Revenant has 6,666 HP, so if you get this about 7 times and you have like the amount of MP for it, it's a kill. But you know, Craftwork, he'll die. I mean, well, you won't have the ability before him. But yeah,
I never saw this guy in the demons.
Oh
like,
yeah,
that's so cool. No, like the dragon around the tower.
Oh, I see. Yes. Yeah, see, these guys, they'll die in 3 hits from it or so, around that. So, you know, just saying, it is powerful if you manage to get your hands on this. Oh, you won't have that before the dragons, though. That's after the dragons. But even then, even after the dragons, it just takes a few of those to kill the bosses. Yeah, actually, no, that literally stands as it is. You could just use this 3 times on these bosses, and they'll die from it. 4 times even if you have it ranked all the way up, and graded all the way up, which is not too hard to do. There's 2 rooms that have those dragons in the library, and you can just go in and out grinding that if you have... I think you could kill the dragon with the Petraway, possibly. But it's not a bad ability. The cost at first is a lot, though, but the damage does make up for it, I would say. I would give my ranking for this... good. Just good, though. Because I know some abilities that don't even cost as much, and you could get the same amount of damage in a short time. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it seems really cool.
Yeah.
It seems quite cool. It's not something I ever used, but yeah, I mean, it does a pretty good amount of damage, but it is quite expensive.
Oh yeah,
right?
Definitely, yeah. 120 MP
Yeah.
is no joke, but once you get Words of Wisdom, this thing you could sometimes cast for 0 or just a smaller amount, which is really nice. So that's one thing. Oh yes, also for those of you who are curious, I should have mentioned this. Jeebel's glasses give you infinite MP. All right, so
Yeah, I'd say it's good. I'd say it's good.
good. Okay, so both goods. All right, Cerulean Splash. This is literally the first ability you get in the game, and it's at the highest rank. It's pretty okay damage. You know, with it bouncing back and forth, you could get multiple hits on it if you're lucky. But there was a pretty okay example of it hitting twice. But you see, as you see, even though it came back a little earlier, it does have a hit rate, meaning it'll only combo every so-and-so seconds. So unfortunately, you can't really pull off a little trick where you just kind of bounce it between the some small walls like that and get a lot of hits off it. But the nice chunk of damage that it does do at a higher level is actually a good thing for screen clearing, like this essentially. It's good on just normal enemies. You know, you're just walking through, you toss this out, you walk around, and you know, everything takes damage or maybe even possibly dies. Good for weaker enemies, but you're not really gonna use it beyond mob killing, I would say.
How spammable is it?
How spammable? You could spam up to 3 at a time on the screen. So that's probably a pretty good thing, especially for a cost of 15. I think this is the lowest cost in the game that you can get in general for a Conjure shard. So it could be pretty good that way. I think, you know, okay, here's one thing I haven't tested. We'll do this really fast because I want to make sure I remember. Okay, so if you do cast around multiple, at least you could get something like that. So for 15 MP, this is just, I would say, a general usability. It's kind of hard to rank this one because it is useful. It is useful. 15 MP is pretty great. I would say the best way to use this, though, is to actually have some, you know, good amount of intelligence and you know, whatever you can use to increase this ability to work to your advantage. Casting out 3 for only 45 MP is pretty darn good, if I say so myself. Like I said, the only thing is the hit rate, and since it bounces around a lot, it could be good on some big bosses, could be good on a dragon, you know, dragon grinding, whatnot. But I'd still say this is good as a mob killing tool.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything,
make yourself feel a little like Revolver Ocelot.
Exactly. Yeah, like Revolver Ocelot. You know, bouncing bullets off the walls. You're bouncing the water off the walls. I would actually say this is better than the net stability we're going to talk about, simply because of the multi-hit capability, screen clearing capabilities, and being that it's a moving hitbox. Yeah, it might miss some smaller enemies, but the bigger guys, they're going to get hit by that. So I'd say it's pretty good, because you could just use it anytime you want, really, especially with that low MP cost.
You're pretty good, as Revolver Ocelot would say. But yeah, well, I was gonna say the exact same thing. Like, I'd say it's pretty good.
All right, so Gale Crawler, the one I believe is not as good as this, because if you notice the damage there, in comparison, you only get so much more damage than the Cerulean Splash. You see, it's about 30 more damage. Now, of course, oh well, hey, maybe there's some enemies that take 150 HP to kill, right? Well, the most I could say about this is it's good for just running and killing anything on the ground this way, right? Similar.
It's good for a long row of enemies.
Yeah, similar, but
because it keeps traveling along the floor.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you won't... Here's the only issue, though. You won't be as fast as this. You will not be as fast.
Did you just throw that pig into the Iron Maiden?
Well, I think we just found a hidden ability, everybody. Because I did not use Craftwork on that. Craftwork's an ability that you need to just grab an Iron Maiden and pull it.
What just happened?
Let's actually take a look at that. Maybe Gale Crawler is secretly the greatest ability in the game for speedruns. But this is pretty okay, as I said, but it'll miss things because of its low hitbox. How did that happen?
Like, the pig flew into it, like when you knocked it, somehow.
Oh, so it's not Gale Crawler. Okay. So...
That's amazing.
There's a little secret for you guys. Plume Parma into that, and then you could just, break the game. No, I'm just joking. You'll only be able to get a treasure chest from doing that. The other areas do not have anything you could use to put there. Yeah. But otherwise, there's not really much to say about this ability necessarily. You can cast it multiple times. I would say maybe as a general boss fighting weapon, as long as the boss is completely on the ground, or even just for normal, stronger enemy killing. In fact, I'll show that real fast. I mean, not so good on, like I said, damage-wise, it's a little bit lacking. You could use it like that as just a general usability, similar to Cerulean Splash, to just throw some damage out.
And what's the cost for this one?
The cost is only 22 MP, that's why I'm saying general use. It's not really a high cost. There's not too much risk here, but the reward is pretty okay. The only problem, as I was going to say, is it only works best when you're actually faster, because then you could follow it. You cannot hit things off screen some of the time, so that's why this kind of goes down below Cerulean Splash for me, because of the travel speed.
You could use it to weaken an enemy.
Yeah, for the most part. So my ranking for this, it's alright. It's alright. The MP cost is the one thing I say is pretty good about it. But other than that, and the damage, I guess, being better than Cerulean Splash, but it's not going to hit multiple times on, on, say, just the weaker enemies like Cerulean Splash would, so it's alright.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hate to keep giving the same opinion, but I mean, yeah, that's about it. It's alright. I used it a couple times and never really came back to it.
Alright, so Head Flail. This one is one that actually gets good. It starts kind of okay, it does some good damage in the beginning, but, you'd be like, oh, okay, 25 MP, that's gonna chew through your 100 MP in the beginning in no time, but then later, it becomes that, and the damage is just a little bit better than Cerulean Splash and, what was it? I already forgot. Gale Crawler. This ability it's what you see pretty much. Big.
So Mirror is literally swinging someone's head.
Yep.
If only Kratos could use Medusa's head like this.
One thing that's really nice about it is, say you get a lot of MP later, the speed and range on this is pretty good. Say if you don't have any because you have to get close and slash with the sword, right? I mean, yeah, this guy's slow. But what's nice about this is the hit stun and the speed of this. This is really good. This is actually, I would say, because of the lower cost once again. So say instead of tossing Gale Crawler, just literally, run along and just jump and do that. This is a way better ability. This is really good, especially for the cost. And doing a raw 200 on certain bosses, you'll be done with them in no time. Well, certain bosses, once you have enough MP, as I keep saying. But it starts out kind of okay, gets really good later. General usability, 25 MP. It's not bad at all. But I'm not going to say it's amazing, but I will say it's great.
pretty sweet.
I'd say it's pretty... Yeah, no, actually, instead of great, I want to say sweet. I would put sweet below great. Not the greatest, but it's still a pretty sweet ability, especially for a beginner ability. Rank this one up and grade it up. It'll help you in the beginning. What about you? What's your ranking?
Yeah, as I said,
Same?
it's pretty sweet.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just giving me a suggestion there, but my bad.
No, that's what I think. It's pretty sweet.
All right, Summon Rat. This one is this one we were talking about this last night. This is probably the most controversial spell for me. Not the most controversial one, but like
it's weird.
The problem with this one is while it's so that's how that works. Okay. So see, that's what I wanted to see before. Now, and that's what I wanted to show off. I couldn't show it off the last time because I couldn't get it right. But what's interesting about this is, yeah, it's this little hitbox he put out there. He's a little rectangle walking around. His tail does not count, though. But the explosion part is what I was interested in. But you toss it out. The only issue I say about this is he moves kind of wherever he wants, so it's very unreliable. As you see, he just keeps... Yeah, unpredictable, unreliable for me. You see, it's like, oh, wait, no, go towards him. What are you doing? Just keep... No, why are you going there? No, walk towards him. You know, and then, even then, you can see that explosion looks big, but it's not hitting anything. But as I saw there, finally, for the first time, I wanted to see, you know, like, the actual explosion land. And luckily, I can manipulate Revenant Simon Belmont here to be where I want him to be. And yeah, it hits a few times, but this is still, like, even though it has this multi-hit explosion, for the damage it does and for the unpredictability of it, I just can't really give this one a good rating. The ranking for it is just pretty... It's unreliable. That's actually my ranking for it. It's just unreliable. It would be pretty good if there was some way, you know, like, you have to just get lucky with this guy, but, you know, and he could just be fighting on the side while he's doing damage like that. You know, it's okay, but not really. It's so random, you know? Now you could toss out 3 of these guys. But once again, it's like, they're just moving about unreliably. I don't know, I just can't bring myself to like this ability. Because, like, look, oh, now they're over there. Okay, yeah, come back over here where he is. Thank you. No, stay on him, okay. But then look where all the, look all, no, it's all missing. No, you know. So this one you'd be using 25 MP for. It's a low cost at least they're not saying like 50 MP, right? But I just don't know. I just don't know about this ability. The only thing I am curious about, and I have summoned a lot of these before, but does this have a 1 in 8 chance to become a giant rat? That's my only question that I don't know for sure about this, because that appears randomly on some abilities.
I mean, it's already a pretty big rat.
Yeah, but I want it to be a giant rat.
For me, I'd say it's bad.
Yeah.
And as you said, it is very unpredictable. But I do have to give it at least some points, just for the fact that you can just throw a rat at someone. Yeah, that's pretty funny on its own.
I would say this ability has visual appeal and stylistic appeal. If you've come from the Devil May Cry community, you understand there's this thing we have about style, and to style on your opponent with a rat, like, imagine just finishing off the final boss. I don't want to spoil it, but imagine finishing off the final boss with a rat, just boop, right in the face. That would be hilarious. But otherwise, it's in my rank. You know, my ranking of it is pretty unreliable. But maybe there's like some secret technique with it that I'm unaware of. Actually, maybe this is actually good on the final boss. Now that I think about it, because if you consider it's like Aria of Sorrow in a way, where the stage is kind of the boss at the very end, after that boss, after the first part. If you consider the last part, maybe it being a complete hitbox and then doing that at the end is actually quite powerful. So let's just say unreliably situational. That's my ranking for this. Unreliably situational, because there's one particular boss I think this would work too well with, in fact, and I want to try it now after this, maybe. What about you after that fact just popped into my head?
Oh, as I said, my opinion hasn't really changed. I'd say it's bad, but it gets points.
Yeah. We're just being
just
silly.
Being able to throw a rat at someone.
I would say it's the equivalent of the tossing pies in Portrait of Ruin.
Kind of.
Because there's a lot of disrespect involved. You don't toss a rat at someone. That's actually cruel. That's really cruel because you don't know where that rat's been, you know. But moving on.
This one's got like a billion eyes.
That too. It's creepy. Summon Ghost. As you see, the damage on this thing is pretty darn insane for some enemies. This is, you know, a guy you could summon 3 of. I think that applies to most of these. But they just go around and they actually track onto...
Damn, this seems quite good.
Oh yeah, no, I actually... This was one of the first ones I was trying to rank up, in fact, once I got it. Because I tried it once, I was like, this seems like it could be good. Now, the only thing I say takes down points from it is because they bounce away, you cannot get some multi-hit capabilities off of this. But it's just pretty good to treat like a familiar, I would say. This is the closest you'll get to having a ghost as a familiar. It's just good to toss out and fight along with because of that. I mean, if we had to...
no, that's great fun.
If we had to compare summon abilities, I have to say this one actually gets a lot of points for me. Because you could just put them out there, fight alongside you. They'll actually... And they home in on the enemy, or try to at least.
Yeah, they're not just... It doesn't look like they're completely randomly moving around the screen. There actually is some kind of homing capability to them. You got it, Belmont.
Damage-wise, they're pretty okay. Like, this is something you get really early. And for 30 MP, this is pretty darn good to even summon one of in the beginning of the game. Just get that grade up, as I say, get the rank up, and you have a pretty good beginner summon ability. This is definitely one of my more favorite summon abilities because it's omniscient. It can float anywhere. It could float into the walls and everything, and that's actually a really good thing because when I cover everything after summon bat, well, not everything, but when I cover some of the things after summon bat, you'll see why I kind of like summon ghost quite a bit. Yeah, it's like maybe the damage is not as good as say summon water leaper or summon shovel knight, shovel armor, but it has some great capability, you know, just being able to move everywhere and do some pretty decent damage. So my ranking, it's pretty sweet.
Pretty sweet. Yeah, no, I'd say that's awesome. Yeah, I actually like that a lot. I wish I'd used it more because I never tried it out.
Alright.
I guess say awesome. That's cool.
Summon Bat, this is an amazing beginner ability. It does cost 10 more than the Ghost, but this is a very powerful... The what?
Oh no, never mind.
Oh, okay.
Go on.
This is a very powerful beginner ability because you just send it out there, and like this is Gale Crawler. This is what I wanted Gale Crawler to be. Like this is the perfect screen killer. It comes out kind of in a not a shotgun. Actually, yeah, like a random shotgun-esque formation, right? But just really slowly.
A slow shotgun.
But
fast.
Even as an ability just to toss out there. You get about 350 right here, as we're seeing, or you know, a little bit more than that sometimes with crits. But this is not a bad ability at all. It's this is basically what I'd say is the rank for of course, yeah, the flight pattern could be a little bit random, but otherwise
random as well.
I would say this is the standard for a good ability. You know, this is a standard for something that has no wrong. Almost. Now there is a 1 in 8 chance with this, and you can summon it twice. This also is very powerful on the twin dragons, because of their gigantic ass hitbox. This will hit them sometimes 3 times in a row. I have a let's play of that, and I was hitting for 25 with 4 bats 3 times, so I was essentially getting 300 damage each time, and those guys have around 2,000 something HP, so it would only take 7 of those to kill them. But otherwise, as I mentioned, there is a 1 in 8 chance that you may get a gigantic bat, which will take up the entire screen, except for like a little bit at the top, depending on where you summon him from. But let's see if we could get that. There's also a weird glitch that happens if, for some reason, the bat's location seems to be remembered sometimes. We had this weird glitch happen in the beginning area where we were killing a Bone Morte here, and the Bone Morte would just keep dying. Anything that proceeded in this direction would die, because it, for some reason, remembered the position of the bats every time we left the screen.
That is bizarre.
But let's see if we get this.
Weird.
Nope. It's a very giant bat, though. It did take me a lot of tries, though, just to get it, so we might not be able to show it here. But just believe me when I say it takes up nearly the entire screen. The only issue, though, is when you do get a giant bat, it's basically like summoning 1 bat, if I remember correctly. So you'll get like multiple hitboxes on it, but it's not going to do that much damage. Okay, I'll give it 5 more tries. Oh, yeah, see, look, there's the thing. It's, they're still there. It remembered the position. So, actually...
Oh, yeah, that's been going on this whole time, by the way.
I should also mention, because of this, this is a very broken ability. So it's actually a little bit overpowered in some cases. Like, look at that.
That's so strange.
In fact, if I just leave the room right here now, I bet he's going to be attacking, he's going to be getting attacked by something even over there, probably.
You can win this fight basically by doing nothing once you enter the room.
Pretty much. So, even if I don't get to show you guys the giant bat, I've already created one in the room, let's put it that way, but just a gigantic ass upscaled version of these guys. Like, they're just boom. Kaiju size.
It's fine. We can move on.
Alright. So the next ability, Summon Simian. I mean, now this room is actually kind of like gonna be a problem now. So I'll have to use the teleport.
Will you be able to leave? Okay.
Yeah, but Summon Simian I can't even really properly show on him. This is an ability you just kind of toss out. You can toss out 5 of these guys, by the way. Whoops.
God, they look so silly.
I know, right? So you summon out 5, and you just kind of walk with them. And they, they'll try to go after whatever enemies they see. Not as good damage as Summon Ghost, but still pretty good because they're a slow, immovable hitbox. So once you use that, let me just use the teleport. But once you...
Did we give out ratings for the bats?
Oh yeah, rating for the bat. That's my rating. It's like, oh my gosh, it's... I can't even give it a proper rating because it's like on its own it's pretty cool, but for what it can do as a glitch for now until they patch that out, it's what is this? It's amazing. It's too powerful. It's amazing for grinding.
That is pretty cool.
So as you see, Summon Simians could do a lot of damage, especially. Of course, since they jump up, they're like Cerulean Splash, but slower and and whatnot.
Slower and higher.
Especially. They're not bad though. Like, I would say not as good as the bats, but
no,
they're still like good. Better to use than the Summon Rat, of course, obviously. And I would say this is a better option if you're just trying to kill enemies on the ground. Summon Ghost would be better for everywhere and like maybe in the air and all that, but Summon Simian would be a better choice on, say, dragons and whatnot, because they just keep bouncing around and doing damage, and you could summon 5 of these guys for only 28 MP, which is pretty insane and radical. So my ranking, it's good. Yeah, it's good.
For me, I'd say it's all right, but I have to give it minus points just because I hate the enemy. It's so frustrating to fight.
Fleamen.
It's like, come back here.
Yeah.
You're really annoying.
Really, really annoying. Okay, so even though I refreshed, okay, yeah, so that's how powerful Summon Bats is. You have to basically quit the game just to actually...
God, that's weird.
Yeah, it's the most powerful ability. Alright, so, Summon Gieremund is like Summon Black Panther in, what was it, Panther? I think it's Summon Panther in,
It's actually, in, if you're talking about Harmony of Despair.
Yeah, Harmony of Despair.
It's, I found out it's Jaguar.
Jaguar, okay, so it's like Summon Jaguar in Harmony of Despair. This thing just run... Did I just see... Does it actually have an exact hitbox? I just saw it run over the toad. That's minus points already for me. Now, of course, that's just with toads,
That's
okay?
plus points for accuracy.
Well, plus points for accuracy, but minus points for usability then. But, what is it? Oh, where'd he go? Wait, what? Did he just disappear? No way. Okay, let me check something.
But did he just go off screen and disappear?
Oh, mine. You know what? I had a better opinion of this guy before. So I have to stay on screen just to... Because, see, he's supposed to last that long, and he's supposed to last a long time. Okay, so minus points for being able to disappear off the screen. Yeah, I didn't even hear the sounds anymore. Wow. Okay, no, I've just lost all respect for this ability. I'm sorry, guys. I was going to actually... I already had a ranking in mind, which was just also pretty sweet. It's essentially Summon Simian, but faster, and you could run along with it. But now, no. Like, I mean, the best this is used for is fighting certain bosses and just having them run around. But...
That's cool.
I mean, they're okay. I would still say Summon Simian is better because... You get Summon 5, and it might be possible to get more hits off of the, you know, the boss with this, certain bosses and whatnot.
Yeah, that's true.
And you get essentially the same kind of damage almost. I feel the slower hitboxes just makes it better, but yeah, okay. Gieremund, I would say this is just okay ability, very situational now because apparently you have to chase after it. Luckily, I
say it's pretty cool.
I don't think they run off too fast from you. You can keep up with them. Oh no, you can't. Cause see, if I'm keeping up with him and I have the current speed I have now, well, you'll still, yeah, you know what, it'll still be okay. But I don't know, it went down in rank for me.
I think it's cool. I like him, and I think they look cute just running.
Alrighty. Summon Shovel Armor is next. This ability can be pretty powerful. Of course, the arc can get in the way. But if you hit with it, you get a lot of damage. You get 500, or no, 400 on this guy, for instance, right?
And Shovel Armor is an obvious reference to Shovel Knight.
Exactly. If you summon 2 of these guys, then you'll get 800 damage for only 35 MP. So they're actually less of a cost than the Bat, which is pretty okay. They're not a bad ability though, especially for they work on a lot of enemies. In fact, you know, I just say don't use them on aerial enemies like, you know, the harpy type enemies and whatnot. But or yeah, small enemies like that. But you know, say if you're just generally going through. This can just clear out some enemies in the way, make a little shield around yourself, in fact. You know, you stand right there and, yeah, nothing is getting through if it kills it. So, otherwise, this also, like the bats, has a 1 in 8 chance of becoming a giant Shovel Knight. Only problem is, I don't know if we'll get it within, say, 10 tries. So, 1, 2... 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, we got it.
There you go.
So if you do get that, you get 461 damage as we saw there, and then you get a shockwave follow-up. Now, of course, you're just hopefully trying to get that. If you do get it, it's pretty good, but if you don't, then okay, whatever. I mean, damage-wise, it beats out Summon Bats, if I remember correctly. But Summon Bats actually do hit a lot of times. Oh, okay, no, it's actually the same. I would still say Summon Bats is a little bit better in some cases because you could just generally use this. But Shovel Armor does hit against, of course, other enemies like 4 rapid times. So this one's a little hard to say for me, but I'd just say, like, instead of pretty sweet, I would say it's actually, and due to the arc, you can't really get every enemy in the game, so I'd just say it's good.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty cool. It's novel.
Yeah, novel. I would say at least gets some points for being novel with the Shovel Knight reference.
Yeah.
Alright, so Summon Water Leaper. This one is actually one I do like. This is not so good on bosses, but, because it'll only hit, like, maybe once on the smaller ones, maybe twice on the other ones. But what is good about it is its screen clearing capability. It only costs 40, so I would almost say this is not an upgrade from the bats, because the damage is only a little bit higher. If you're fighting way stronger enemies, then I'd say Summon Bats is still a little bit better. But in terms of just like, I don't feel like dealing with you guys, you just toss this out and they're all gone, essentially. This is an example of what I would say is like a good ability, because its hitbox is very deceiving, believe it or not. It hits all the things on the ground.
Look a bit odd.
Not to mention, there's actually I'll show you here. Hopefully the hitboxes don't get in the way. But as you see, I wasn't even touching him. I can actually, sometimes you could summon it just a little bit out of distance, and it'll hit, as you saw there. So you could get 2 hits on that thing, right up close, and then everything that follows after. But it's such a big hitbox. This is such a good summon ability, just to toss out there and kill a lot of the 200 or less enemies on screen in terms of HP. Better than Gieremund. I would even say better than Simian because of the higher damage that it has. But of course, as I said, these guys shine the most when you're fighting enemies with higher HP than the Water Leaper, and they'll hit multiple times. Water Leaper won't really often do that. So my ranking for it's pretty sweet, similar to Summon Bat, only because it's just same MP, but higher damage and greater screen capability.
I'd say it's awesome, and it gets bonus points for being an ability that lets you finally follow Peppy's advice and do barrel
rolls. Oh my gosh, I wonder if that's a reference. I wonder if it's a reference.
It wouldn't be.
All right, so Summon Buer. I could actually show this here. These guys
Watch him go.
are the equivalent of a York Skull, but I would say a little bit better to some degree. In terms of just like the kicking them aspect. Only because they have a bigger hitbox, you can knock them around with your sword. Right there, I just protected myself.
Uruk Skulls being from Harmony of Despair.
Yeah, Harmony of Despair, and also I believe Aria of Sorrow, or was it Dawn of Sorrow? But
possibly Dawn of Sorrow.
What's good about these is you could toss because these are extra damage. They're pretty good. You just toss these out and just start slashing away, or even slide kicking them like a Mega Man into your enemy, like you would kick the rock ball, or the soccer ball, in other words. You could do whatever you want with these, right? Now I think it's actually conflicting with something in the room, but otherwise,
okay.
So
yeah, sorry. Quick check. Uruk Skulls are from Dawn and Harmony of Despair.
Okay, so it's Dawn. All right, but yeah, okay. So they're actually knocking off the bats in this room, surprisingly. So it's kind of hard to show that on a boss, but otherwise you could just kick this around and just kill everything. It's just something you could put out there, and as I said, really increase your damage when fighting certain bosses. This ability is just completely player dependent. The skill of it just completely depends on the player. And I would say though, because there's another version of it called Familiar Buer, which stays out forever, this one I would say, instead of getting the great grade from me, I feel that only belongs to the Familiar instead. So this would just get sweet for me, only because it doesn't last forever and all that. It's a summon version instead, and cost 40 MP. But if you could throw 4 of these guys out, have this one and then have the other 3 and get a really massive amount of damage. Like, just completely player dependent. It could be bad, it could be good. But for me, I think it's pretty sweet. Or sweet.
I mean, I think it's pretty cool. I do miss playing around with the Uric Skulls because they're fun to kick around and get to other places with, just watching the skull fly all over the place. But I think it has I like the monster has a cool design, and it seems pretty useful in ways. As you said, the familiar can sort of outshine it.
Yes, exactly.
But I'd say it's pretty cool. It's all right.
All right, so
it has its use.
Now here's a good example of a completely situational, but also perhaps bad ability. In fact, I don't even know if I can demonstrate this anywhere nearby. Honestly, that's one of the issues already that come with this. There is one place I could think of, so I'll try and get there real fast. So right here in this room, this is Summon Insect. And this guy just kind of, you see, he's not, this is an example of a pretty ability. Like, he'll try to home in on something. You could summon 3 of these guys.
Not the most accurate.
Like, see, they'll try to aim for something, but not really. They don't last all that long. And they work their way upwards, as you see, but this is just a very, very bad ability. If someone can figure out a very awesome way to use this, because, I mean, like, come on, you're supposed to be the anti-air of this game, man. And even the damage isn't always that good. It does puncture damage, I believe, but...
pretty much anything else you've used so far is quite a bit better, I'd say.
Like, the proc for poison is pretty okay. It hits. Okay, wait. Let me see something. Because, see, I've usually seen these guys go upwards, but maybe...
It's a pretty good critical.
Yeah, so the crit rate, maybe it's because my luck is so high. That might be why. But otherwise... These guys on normal enemies don't work too well all the time, as you see. But it seemed to work really well on the Revenant. Maybe it works well on bosses. I have yet to test that, but they sometimes will just work their way upwards as well. They don't always home in, as you saw there on the Revenant, so I'm actually glad I tested that. But otherwise, you could do much better than this. Okay, now... sometimes they miss, sometimes they don't. Their damage could be good, but it's nowhere as good as, say, Summon Simian if you're fighting a little boss, or even I mean, like I said, we saw some good hits there, so situational at best. I think I would still rather use like Summon Bat, Summon Ghost, even Cerulean Splash, but not one of my favorites. But for me, after seeing that, maybe a little bit better than Gieremund in some cases. Like, this is as situational as Gieremund. It's more of like a okay for me. Just an okay, maybe even a meh.
I'd say it's kind of bad. I don't really like it.
Yeah. If someone can find an amazing use for this other than the fact that it has poison and, what we saw in the room there, if it has any other external use, as or any way to use it, please tell us in the comments, because I just, there's not too much redeeming qualities about this ability that I find you could use over other abilities that are pretty good. Alright, so Summon Chair, the one that I didn't know until like a little bit later, does a certain thing. I'll try to show this off. We gotta remove Jeebel's glasses, and let's use an ability that takes up a lot of MP. Okay, so if I just try to use up my MP here, all right, I think that's about good enough.
She's just watering the plants.
We sit down in there, look at my MP.
Nice.
So this refills your MP. This is honestly a really awesome ability. The fact that you could just summon a chair, and just sit down on it, recover your MP really fast.
Very different.
I mean, I could even say like, okay, let's pull him over here. I'm just gonna sit right here, okay, buddy? recover my MP. You ready to fight yet? No? Okay, well, I'll just take a breather over here, alright? Like, this ability's great. This ability's really good. Really fun, really silly at the same time, but so good because it recovers your MP, and there's only, you know, you can only use food and, of course, ethers to do that. And later on, like, you know, high ethers and Etz ethers, you know, sometimes you don't want to use your resources. There's only a few foods that will heal, like, a lot of MP. So this is honestly really good. And I mean, this isn't an attacking ability. This is for you to use. So it's completely player dependent on when you want to use it. 20 MP cost. So this is certainly for recovering MP. The only weird thing is sometimes it doesn't. It is, I think, a chance-based item at times, but it will more than often recover your MP. You can always resit yourself in the chair again and try to get the MP healed. Only thing about this is you can't use this on, you know, you have to make sure you use this on a flat surface, obviously.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Make sure you are on a flat surface before you use it. Otherwise, the chair will just tumble over and, yeah.
Exactly.
You've just wasted some MP instead.
Otherwise, great ability. This hits great for me.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty cool.
All right, Summon Tracer. These guys are what the Gieremunds should be. Good travel speed, really amazing damage, can hit in the air.
Oh, I just thought of what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the Imprisoned from Skyward Sword. I don't know if you've ever seen
Oh,
it.
you're right.
Oh, no, you would have, of course.
Yeah, well, Hyrule Warriors, but
exactly.
This ability is really darn good. This is the upgrade from Gieremund. It even hits with a better combo rate than Summon Simian and all that stuff. Costs 50 MP though, so it costs more than the bats, but it's oh, and here's one thing. Okay, so when you actually see the enemy, when you actually see the tracers, unfortunately, this one does not travel up the walls as you see. But even then, like, just using it this way, and then summoning a second one, and then fighting. Look at that, I already killed it. Well, okay, there was the other stuff helping too. But this is just the big upgrade to summon Gieremund, and this is also the last summon ability that you get. Actually, no, well, excluding summon Hellhound and excluding the 8-bits because those are hidden and whatnot, but you know, this is the last common summon ability you would get, and it's pretty darn good if I say so myself. The only drawback is literally that it acts like a Gieremund. It just goes on the walls, but it's such a big ass hitbox, and it hits so many, it hits way more times than the Summon Simian, that I just can't fault this one. I think this is a pretty great ability. Good example of a powerful summon.
Yeah, no, I think that's really fun, and plenty of damage. That thing's great. I like it.
Shuriken. Shuriken is one of those abilities where it has two uses. You use it as like a frontal shotgun for some pretty cool damage. If it hits some big guys, they're gonna get triple or quadruple the damage. If you crouch, you'll get pretty much everything on the ground. Only issue is this enemy. The Shuriken will stop on whatever enemy it hits. It does not have any penetrative ability. But if you throw it right up in an enemy's face, this is the second use. This for how much MP? 40 MP. Could be a pretty good move. It also spins in the enemy. It does not do any extra damage, but it's just a funny visual thing I noticed. But this could be very powerful. It only took me about, 7 or 8 of those to just kill something with 6,666 damage minus the the damage on the outside. But still, very powerful when used up close, and you can use it twice if you have the correct ability. But this is just I would say it's pretty. No, actually, because of the damage, I'd say it's pretty great. It's pretty great.
Yeah, no, I'd say that's pretty cool. I like it, and it just looks cool.
Exactly.
Just shooting flying all over the place. But it, as you said, it does sort of suck that if you're fighting smaller enemies, as you said, you do want to get close to do all that damage.
So
wait, roll just end.
So now throw spear. Throw spear is What is it? It's
Well, it's the first ability you get in Aria of Sorrow.
yeah, but it's kind of a late ability you get here in this game. Whoops, let's actually get these enemies to respond. So this, similar statement about throw shuriken. Up close, lots of damage. This costs 60 MP though, which is kind of a shame, because shuriken is much more powerful up close, obviously. It did around 90, 100 damage, and there was about, how many of those? 10? This only shoots out 5. Sometimes you'll get crit, so you might get the same damage if you're really lucky, like that right there, but otherwise, this is just for a more specific coverage. See, and here's where I say it's still, even though Shuriken has more damage and more coverage, what's really good about this is its piercing quality. It pierces through. So it'll just go through everything. It's not going to stop at the first enemy, it's just going to keep on traveling. So this is still a very amazing ability, but for the MP cost, going up from 20, a little bit more on the situational side. I would still use Shuriken even then, but if I were going through, say, a hallway and I just had to kind of dash through there, doing this is pretty amazing.
Oh my god, that looks really fun.
Oh yeah, it's pretty funny, but pretty darn powerful this way, like that. This is the best way to use this ability. So, it's just, it's what you see. What you see here is what you get. Piercing quality is pretty nice, but the MP cost is kind of a little down. It just brings a little bit down. But I would say, where I gave Shuriken pretty great, or was it great? Whichever way, I would just say this is pretty sweet, powerful, but
Yeah, I'd say it's cool. I think I like it, but I think I prefer the Shuriken.
Yeah, the Shuriken's definitely good. So, the little Flytrap ability. This is I would oh my gosh, wow, yeah, those bats. This I would say is kind of hard to use. This works on big enemies pretty well that don't move around a lot, but otherwise
Probably throw it down next to some dragon feet.
Exactly. Like the problem with this ability is, I think the first part will oh geez, yeah, I can't even summon yet. These guys last a long time, but when you first summon it, sometimes it has a hitbox for some reason. I don't know why. But the only issue with these guys, as I've said and as I've shown, is you're just waiting for them to attack. They do a lot of damage, and they could do it multiple times in a row, but it's so situational. I can't really say this is a pretty good... It's too situational. There's not a lot of points where you get to use this in, like over something else, Like, I could try and use it on this guy here, but, I mean, he's gonna die in one hit, but why would I wait for this rather than just use something else? Like, I mean, I guess if you weren't getting much shards, then maybe, but that's my score for Flytrap. It's too situational, like, as I said, some bosses you can use it on and just have it as consecutive damage while you're doing other things, similar to how I use Summon Simian, but why not just use Summon Simian and get multiple hits off of that, right? It's
No, I don't really like that one.
Now imagine...
It seems like something I would never really try and use.
Exactly.
Not worth it. It's like what are they in it's Un, isn't it? Or
it's what?
What are they called in? What are they called again in Castlevania? They're Uns, aren't they?
Yeah, the Unes. Imagine if this had a 1 in 8 chance to become giant. If it had that, then I would give it a little more, but...
That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I just can't really say much about this ability. It's just... Now, Welcome Company. This one, I've been seeing some videos. People have been using this in grinding. I didn't think this was so good at first. It's kind of like the book in Symphony of the Night, a little Bible, but... I mean, after I ranked it all the way up, I'm like, damn, this is pretty good. Just to have as side damage. This is like Summon Swords with Virgil.
Wonder if all the portraits are always the same.
There's the Blonde Noctis. Is he there again? Nope, they're not always the same. I don't see Blonde Noctis this time.
That's interesting. Yeah, they're definitely different each time. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, and these are all backer rewards, these portraits.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Every single one of them.
So, you could, if you were a backer and you like that got one of these pictures, you could summon yourself, essentially.
Exactly. I am not among one of the
Which is quite
portraits,
fun.
unfortunately. I just didn't feel like paying that amount. So this ability...
it wasn't cheap.
This ability is pretty powerful, I will say, because it hits for 100 here each time, for instance. And then on general enemies, you just run through them. It's very powerful, it's very good, but at first this doesn't start off too good. This is something that takes work. This is something that takes, you know, you need to work on it to make it really good. It only costs 40 MP, so I actually like that a lot. And if you're one of the backers, this is, you know, who got these portraits, then this is special for you, of course.
Hang on, don't.
Oh, don't. Oh, I'm
I was
sorry.
gonna say don't leave. No, that's alright, because I'm pretty sure I saw the Igarashi portrait.
Oh, yeah. Otherwise,
So you could summon Igarashi.
yeah, you could summon Igarashi. Oh, there's the Blonde Noctis again. I'm sorry for calling you Blonde Noctis if you ever see this video, but I mean, your hair looks that way, and that's not a bad statement from me. If, you know, looking like a Noctis is pretty cool, actually, I'll say. But otherwise,
I wonder who looks like a cat.
yeah, actually that too. Otherwise, really good ability. As we saw, we just kind of killed him there pretty fast. Summon swords, Virgil, Bible, Symphony of the Night, but even better maybe. You know, it's not going to protect you from hits necessarily, but it does a lot of damage. I don't know how to put this. It's what you see is what you get, and I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
As I said, especially if you backed it,
Oh yeah, especially.
it'd be even better.
All right, throwing axe. This weapon is like the boomerang slash cross from the classic Vania games.
It's literally exactly the same.
Pretty much. Now there is one that's actually better than this. Actually, let me that's it. We'll
Following it all the way back looks really funny.
yeah. Okay, yeah. So there's definitely one that's 10 times better than this, and you actually get to aim it where you want, but this acts like the classic boomerang. Even the hit rate, I think, is pretty close if you were to compare Harmony to Despair. But
You talking about Ruinous Brood?
yeah, Ruinous Rood is basically the better version of this. So I cannot give this the highest. I can't even say like this is a pretty, like, let's look at that damage again. So it's hitting for 200 each time, but you know, as I said, the hit rate I would say is what keeps it from being great. You know, I would say this is just
How many
sweet.
can you throw out?
You can toss out 3. Oh wait, no, you can toss out like maybe. Well,
Wow.
I think you just keep tossing them out. No, okay, 5. It's about 5.
That's pretty cool.
So let's actually test that. So yeah, I mean, it's okay. You know, good damage, good choke on like 50 MP. So okay.
Pretty expensive.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit expensive until later on. But say if you do, you know, you get this ability, and you don't have much else. This is pretty good because you could just do this. You know, waste that 200 and oh well, you don't have Accelerator yet, obviously. So just cast out 1 and then run along with it and watch it murder everything because of its high damage potential.
Of course, you'd have to throw it in the opposite direction, like you
Yeah.
were doing.
I would still say like maybe Summon Bats or the little Water Leaper's a little bit better. But the multi-hit makes it a little bit better than Summon Leaper. So I mean Summon Water Leaper. So I would just say it's a sweet ability. It's a nice throwback, but definitely I would of course use Shuriken and all that instead. What about you?
Yeah, I like it. And funny enough, it's funny that it's more like the cross than the actual axes
Yeah.
in Castlevania.
Pretty much. Actually, there's
But,
no similar throw axe ability now that I think about it to the Castlevania stuff. Regardless, though, or maybe there is, and I just I didn't really see it. But this ability, as you see, does this is basically Draconic Rage but better.
Along with the Gale move.
Yeah. It's like Gale, so it's Gale Crawler and Draconic Rage all in one. Of course, the hitbox is a little bit harder, so that's one thing that brings it down. But the damage you get for hitting with it is about almost the same as Draconic Rage if you were to only get the one first hitbox with it. And then, of course, the after hitbox does the same damage, so that's a really powerful combination right there. And for the same amount of MP, I don't think you could go wrong. Wait, what the... Is this a glitch? Oh, wait. Okay, yeah, that was a weird glitch. So, it does have, you know, a nice little vertical hitbox there, too, and it does travel up this, you know, up any platforms and all that stuff, you know, like that. So... pretty good. Wait, why did it not hit there though? That's kind of weird. I'd say though the one thing that's only not so good about it is it'll take whatever platform it can get. So, you know, take that for what you will. But and then okay, that's wait. So why does it not hit this guy? Is it because it's going under his legs? No, okay. Maybe it was the off-screen issue right there, but. Of course, as I said, Draconic Rage, a little bit better in some ways, a little bit worse in the others, like that. Yo, this one you have to aim, but if you do hit with it, it hits powerful, you know? And you could kill some bosses really, you know, if you're new game plussing because you get this literally at the end of the game, this is a pretty good ability to just, you know, instantly kill some bosses pretty fast. So
yeah, no, I think it's pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah, I'd say that's my ranking for it.
Recently, but yeah, I don't know. There's not much else to say, I guess.
Yeah, it is what you see. All right, so Deathcry. Deathcry is pretty darn awesome. It costs 21 MP less, but it hits twice, I think. Yeah, you can hit twice with this. 600 damage. And this is good for when you're fighting a lot of even strong enemies, because it hits all around you, unlike Draconic Rage and the At Strike. You know, this will also cover behind you, so a little bit more multi-purpose. You can do it anywhere, and if you have Words of Wisdom, as you saw there, I just casted it so many times in a row without losing MP. So this ability, fast cast, pretty good. You don't need to...
almost just ran into that Iron Maiden.
I did. You don't need to aim it. You can just use it and get your payout. Only issue with it is just the cost, I think. The cost and the damage you get. I mean, the coverage is amazing, but the cost that the cost for it is kind of like, you're not getting as much damage as the Draconic Rage or even the At Strike, so that's the only thing I'd say would bring it down. So I'd just say it's a sweet ability. But with Words of Wisdom, like, yeah, don't use even... No, you could use the other ones without Words of Wisdom because of the damage payout, but don't use this one without Words of Wisdom, whatever you do, because this is better for screen clearing.
It's really cool, and it does a pretty decent amount of damage. You can kill enemies with singing, but the MP cost is pretty insane.
Yep. So, Upbeat Heat... Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, continue. Your ranking.
Oh, no, I was just saying. Yeah, it seems okay. I probably wouldn't really use it that whole lot. It's... I mean, it's pretty... it's hard to say. It's good. Yeah. I'd say it's good.
All right. So, Upbeat Heat. This is... Oh my gosh, such a controversial ability because I love it for what it is, but I just, I really can't even...
I wish we got to play the guitar.
I know, that would be so cool. So as you see, it's...
Imagine if it was a directional ability.
That would be... See, that's what I'm saying. This ability should have never been like this. This is the wrong way to do it. It should have been summon her and direct her, like conduct her, essentially. You use your hand.
No, it should have been you just pull out
or
the
just
guitar
pull out the guitar and yeah,
with the right stick. That would have been amazing.
But this ability just this is like having a constant what is it called? Shovel armor. This is like having a constant shovel armor, but she only aims it down twice out of all of this. And otherwise, you're just trying to get her to aim it right at this spot pretty much, especially for specific enemies. Like this. It's not that good. Like, it's a constant thing. So this is good on certain bosses that just stand there. This is good on the train boss, because she'll just literally keep shooting it for a very long ass time. So ultra situational. I hate that she summons up in the air of all things. This is the lowest you can get it. I can't get it any lower than that. If she summoned on the ground, then I would give this a really amazing rating, but like, this is a wall above me, and then, oh yeah, there's there, okay, you know. The only thing I say is good about it is obviously it's a rock and guitar, you know, solo. I like that, but, It's visually and, you know, like, quality-wise awesome, but use-wise and gameplay-wise could have been so much better. It had so much potential to be as a directional shard, and you playing the guitar, but it's a no for me.
I feel so mixed because like I want to give it plus points for the sick guitar riff that she plays.
Oh yeah.
But I want to give it minus points because of the fact that it's not a directional ability that has Miriam playing the guitar and you direct the flames.
Yep.
Because how amazing would that be? Because that would truly be a way to style on your opponents.
Oh yeah, the
just
ultimate way.
Just like defeat them or like, you know, whatever, and then just pull out a guitar and just start playing that riff. It would be fantastic.
It would be so amazing.
Can't do that. So I have to like, but it does sound awesome. So and I have to say, it's just missed potential. That's all I really say.
Very missed potential. All right, so Toxic Storm. Toxic Storm is like another ability, Riga Storæma, which we'll talk about soon. But this ability only does, like when you compare the damage, it's pretty much half of what Riga Storæma does. This also can cause poison. The poison proc rate is pretty good. Happens actually quite often sometimes. But what's good about this is you can summon it 3 times. But damage-wise, it's pretty eh. It does create this giant wall, essentially. Like, that's the one thing I'll give it. It creates a big giant wall there.
Of bubbles!
But for the MP cost of 40, you're better off going with Riga Storæma, which we'll show soon. In fact, let's just do that one next, because this is a statement that needs to be made. Here's Riga Storæma. More damage. I mean, yeah, it doesn't last as long, but if you're fighting a big enemy, all of those are hitting twice in a row for double. No, not even.
And if you've got a lot of enemies on the floor, you can just, like here.
This
like that
is an example of greatest, well, not the greatest screen clear. Summon Leaper, I think, takes the cake for greatest screen clear almost. But, you know, just this is crazy. And also, you know, you could run after this even at a normal speed and still those will be there and the enemies will take damage. Wow, I can't believe I missed that. Oh, it's just a fried egg. Okay. I thought it was going to be HP capacity, but still. That's how good this is. You know,
that's pretty great. I like that.
The only negative of this ability is, I mean, well, okay, if you cast it here, you could recast it for a lot of damage. So there is some technical capabilities, but it will only cast wherever you're you know, whatever platform you're on and all that. So if you're kind of on a weird platform like this, it'll only cast that way. You know, so it could be a little problematic at times. Like, I could even do this and only cast down there. So sometimes in certain areas it could be bad, but most of the time it'll usually be good. Like this. Really good damage, hits twice, and on dragons it murders them pretty fast. Rank this one up at least to 3 or even 4. And that's all you'll really need to do. Like, I went through this game with just rank 4 Riga Storæma. And, you know, I graded it up, and it was helpful throughout the entire game for me. I used it all the way till the end. In fact, this was almost the only ability I exclusively used. It's that good. This one, amazing ability with just one drawback, but it's so darn good. Toxic Storm, in the other hand, is just This is the, like, you know, just summoning one column. It's a bigger column, obviously. Hits multiple times, but, you know, much more, what is it? I mean, enemies will just walk through it, but let's try it this way. Let me see. See, here's another issue, actually, I'll just discuss. So with Riga Storæma, of course, as I said, you can only re-summon it multiple times if there's only 1 or 2, I believe. But with Toxic Storm, at least you can multi-summon it, but just to see how much hits it gets. Oops, you got pushed out. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it hits 4 times. You might be able to get some good damage off Toxic Storm in comparison. But, you know, Riga, of course, has the advantage of having fire elemental weakness, whereas Toxic Storm does not really have an element with it. It just comes with the poison status. So, you know, take your pick, but I say Riga Storæma is a lot better still, because it has a lot of capability. It has a lot of use. You could use it everywhere, almost everywhere. Adam, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty cool. You kind of just showed off 2 abilities with one.
Yeah.
Just, but
because I couldn't help but compare it, but, you know, I just feel
of course.
Riga Storæma's awesome level, and Toxic Storm is like, it's good. It's good. It's better than using, you know, certain few other abilities like Upbeat Heat, for instance.
Yeah, I think it's cool. The poison seems useful.
Yeah, you could at least combine the damages with that.
But not something I'd.
Yeah, like
I'd find myself
I rarely used it. There's actually a much better poison ability to use, and it's a directional shard, and it's pretty darn powerful at first. All right, so summon Hellhound. This is 200 MP cost with really high damage, and also sometimes a pretty good crit rate. But on its own, it does more damage than Axe Strike and Draconic Rage, unless you get a crit on it on the At Strike. But this is just gigantic hitbox of death, essentially. This is good for grinding on certain enemies.
Thrashing Tentacle, I'd say.
Yeah, this will kill pretty much anything, almost anything in the game, in terms of enemies, and it will kill bosses, like beginner bosses, and just you know, a hit, like 2 hits essentially, 2 or 3 hits. Well, no, like mostly 2 hits, but ultra powerful, super high MP cost, unfortunately. But I mean, this applies to most abilities, but what's amazing about this one, and this is one I'll just show here, and I used it for grinding. You know, combine this with Jeebel's Glasses or Words of Wisdom.
Whoa.
Dead. Like, if I left that for 1 more second, he would be dead. And you could summon 2 of these guys. And yeah, you've basically killed every boss in the game easily.
God,
this is the most.
That's insane.
This is the most powerful ability when used with Standstill. And I mean, you could use everything with Standstill. I'll just prove that point. You know, if I take Throw Axe, I mean Axe Strike. Oh, whoops! I forgot to put. I somehow removed that from myself. I was not thinking. Oops. But see, that's the thing. You know, with this, you have to kind of aim it to get it. Oh, okay. No, it kind of goes away then. Maybe I can get it on there just right, because I think I've used this on enemies and I've just kept the axe there. But you could do the same thing with other abilities.
Work with Thrashing Tentacle?
I believe it does. Let me just equip Jeebel's Glasses.
You may have to,
yeah.
Put on your glasses.
Oh, I gotta wait for my MP. Okay, there. So I summoned 2 right there. Oh, wait, okay. Gotta wait for that hitbox. So you could do it like this.
There you go.
But, you know, when you compare this to summon Hellhound,
less damage.
you know, you see why summon Hellhound's so good, even for the MP cost. You know, even on its own, it's still ultra powerful. All you have to do is just use a lot of you know, make sure you have high intelligence, all that stuff. And if you combine this with the Skull Necklace, it becomes pretty much the most powerful ability in the game. Like undefeated. You get 2,200 without crit. Imagine what this is on crit.
No wonder you told me to get this ability.
Oh yeah, it's overkill. 3,320, so most powerful ability in the game. It's worth it for the cost. It's worth it. If you just want to end something, just be like, I'm done with you, son. Just activate that, and then for bosses, it'll kill a few of the beginning ones instantly. Well, if you New Game Plus. Actually, yeah. What else can you do? You have to New Game Plus to have this. But yeah, really, really powerful. Of course, if something resists fire, I think it'll be reduced, but even then, the power is still overkill. We'll talk about Jackpot last. We will talk about that one last. So, Va Ischa.
I'd say that's fantastic, though.
Oh yeah, really fantastic. So Va Ischa, not necessarily a good one to use on humanoid bosses, meaning smaller hitbox bosses. Good on big bosses though, and good on just the screen, of course. Because of how it summons, it's good for hitting aerial enemies first. Or if you...
Do the icicles freeze for standstill?
Yes, they do. So you can, kind of
cool.
BDO, not really. But this is, it's strong. Hits for a pretty good amount of damage, but the only issue is it actually can miss. But I have gotten some lucky stuff where I'll, like, summon it right there, and then if the enemy is big enough, it'll hit for all of those, and it can be very powerful, but it's ultra placement situational. But not a bad screen clearing move for 40 MP, Like, I can't completely fault it, because then I could do something like that and get rid of some enemies, but, it all depends on how close you are to them, who it will hit. So you can miss, obviously. It's alright, that's my ranking for it. It's what you see, what you see is what you get, and what I told you about, using it on an enemy right inside their hitbox could be pretty powerful.
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty cool. Another one I don't think I'd find myself using.
Alright, so Vashi... oh yeah. What were you about to say?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
So Vashia is the equivalent of aerial, it's just upside down Riga Storæma. The hitboxes will, it does 2 hits if you get it on the hitbox, obviously. The dropping hitbox and the summoning hitbox. I mean, the dropping and the summoning hitboxes. This can be pretty powerful when used correctly. The only thing I say is, good about it though, like, the only thing I'd say is still, like, Riga Storæma's better, is because this is an instant activation unless the enemy's in the air. So this is like what you would use if... Actually, no, but see, there's still an issue here. Even though you can anti-air this somewhat, one of the issues is if it summons, like what you saw there, whoops, it won't summon. That's the issue. So this ability could, at least Riga Storæma tries to come out regardless, but this one can be stopped by platforms and all sorts of stuff. Otherwise, not bad for a floor clearing ability, as well as an anti-air in some cases and open spaces, but
you do have to wait.
Yeah, it does not get the awesome ranking from me, even if he could summon 2, The damage is good though. The damage is much more powerful than Riga Storæma, so the wait time can be worth it in some cases. In fact, we technically got the power of a Draconic Rage right there for only 80 MP, which actually is what it costs anyway, so why not just use Draconic Rage then? So, I mean, in my opinion, it's like, it works well in the lava area. I'll at least give it that. Like, enemies weak to ice, this works really well, obviously. And this works really well on big hitboxes. They'll get hit by everything, just like Riga Storæma, but only for higher damage at least. So much more situational, but it's not as bad as some worse abilities, but it does have a lot of drawbacks, unfortunately. So I just have to give this a pretty good, or no, just good. It's just good.
Yeah, I'd say it's alright. Not another one I wouldn't find myself using. Yeah, I don't know. Not much to say.
Alright, Teps Salendra, which I love to call Destruct Ray from Golden Sun, or the Ray series from Golden Sun. This ability...
I prefer to call it Nevin.
Nevin. Yeah, you're right, Nevin. Devil May Cry 3, but this ability is, I would actually say it's pretty good. A little bit better in some cases than Schia because of its multi-hit capabilities. As you see, this is very powerful, especially with the amount of times it can hit. Of course, the only drawback is, you know, it starts off bad. This does not go as far, like this only covers what you see right at first when you first create this ability, when you first get this ability. But afterwards, it becomes like this and covers this small room and hits just so many times. It's a very great ability and a great anti-air ability. Hitting enemies above you is beautiful with this. You can also re-summon it. How many times? Was that 3? 2 times. So this could be devastating, but this is the perfect anti-air. Like, this is what I call perfect anti-air in the game. Best anti-air. Because of that multi-hit part, it, you know, spreads out, hits a lot of times for really, really powerful damage. This is more powerful than Riga Storæma. At first, my opinion of this wasn't so good, but where I say Riga Storæma is the greatest floor cleaning ability in the game, and you could just use it all the time. This one I used a little bit less until I ranked it up, and then I just started tossing this everywhere for just absolutely insane amount of damage. This is awesome, in my opinion. This is very awesome because you can use it anywhere, except it works similar to Riga Storæma. So if I use it here, it's going to take the lowest thing, but that's kind of the point for this. You're using this for anti-air and right around you capabilities.
Yeah, I think it looks awesome. It looks absolutely chaotic.
Yeah, nothing's getting close to you with this ability unless they're just gonna, you know, unless they're really fast and will just try to jump at you and have a lot of HP. But this, get this up in rank and grade as soon as you can, because even for 90 MP, the amount of damage you're getting with this is, I think, even more than Draconic Rage in some points. Combine this with Words of Wisdom and you have a very ultra powerful ability. This one is better than Deathcry, way better than Deathcry. You know, this one's worth your MP, if I say so myself. This is an awesome ability.
Yeah, I think it's quite cool. I like that one a lot. It just looks awesome, and it does quite a bit of damage. As you said, it doesn't start off that great.
Yeah,
it is quite expensive.
but that expensiveness is just too good for what it becomes. You know,
yeah.
if you know there's some troubling enemies above you, even just toss that out. You'll have an easier battle afterwards. Their HP will be severely decreased, or they'll just be dead. All right, Tis Raiff. Tis Raiff is a controversial one for me, only because of its angles.
Oh, that looks cool.
This one is it's weird. You have to get it just right to really
odd,
yeah. If you're fighting an enemy like this one and they're moving around, even though they're weak to holy, this could be absolutely powerful. Hit for about 2,000 damage or 1,800 damage if you get it just right.
It can make you feel like a Lumen Sage, though.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. But otherwise, this is not an ability you use on general enemies. Not at all. Like, you can, but yeah, like, good luck hitting some things. Like, I just wish it would... See, I hate that it works this way because I swear the enemies have a better version of it. It has a better arc or something. But this is, of course, really powerful if you're doing, you know, if you don't have much other abilities. It only costs diamonds, which you can eventually get, you know, easier from, like, chests and all that, but... good holy damage. Actually, this is your only source of holy damage. So you kind of have no choice but to use it. There is one other ability that's a little bit better in terms of aiming, but not better in damage because of its hit rate. But I just say it's situational. It's okay. This is an okay ability. It's powerful if you're willing to put in the effort to use it right. And for the cost,
I'd say it's kind of bad, just because it seems like there's probably too much that's better, and
yeah,
it's got such a weird arc.
this is something you literally only use when you're fighting something exclusively weak to holy, in my opinion. But the arc is just not worth it. You could still just get away with using Riga Storæma or something else, you know, for less MP, by the way. All right, Insatiable. This one we got from Igarashi. Oh yeah, you just saw that. This is basically Riga Storæma on steroids, but slower, obviously, right? You can walk with this.
Smaller?
Yeah, much smaller, of course, too. You can't clear vertical screen with this, but you can.
It'd be amazing if it was like the one that he uses as a boss.
Oh yeah,
covers like the whole screen.
that would be amazing. But otherwise, what you're getting for this is raw power. This is a concentrated version of Riga Storæma. So concentrated.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, so concentrated in its damage that, like, you know, you get combo capability with it. That was literally, that was 800, that's, wow, that was 1200 damage right there for how much? 66 MP, so I did Draconic Rage for a little bit less. And it does travel, so if the enemy is traveling in the same direction, they're dying from this, you know? Only problem is it, you know, doesn't travel so well, obviously. Riga Storæma travels better than this one. That's why I said concentrated version of it. It's smaller, doesn't travel as much, but the damage you get for it is insane. So I'd just say it's a good ability. Situational, something you get later anyway. So, you know, use it if you want, but you have to rank this one up. I'm not joking. This one's something you rank up. On its own, you're only going to get so much distance coverage with it. And you want to have every one of the, you know, like if you're fighting dragons, this is a dragon killer sometimes.
Yeah, I say it's pretty cool.
All right, summon 8 up. We're on our last 4 abilities.
To say, I noticed that the MP cost was 6/6.
Sits, yeah. So summon zombie is ultra powerful. It is very powerful, and yeah, he just continues to walk against a wall. So if you could get an enemy to follow you into the wall, even this. Aw, whoops! I wish I could show that off. Okay. So 1400 damage right there. High crit rate for some reason, even, you know, so the other ones were doing that. But this is a great wall of doom. I just like to, you know, once you get this ability, you can just summon this and just walk behind it and just watch everything die in its path. Of course, Riga Storæma will kill everything instantly, whereas this one you follow after. But this is good for later endgame. You know, you get the grade up on this, you get the rank up on this, and just watch it walk through masses of stronger enemies and kill them all really quickly. This one is what you see is what you get, essentially. It's good. It's good. And, oh, actually, the MP cost is actually pretty good, actually. So let's just actually say it's sweet.
Yeah, I like that. That's quite nice. As you said, it's just a giant wall of doom.
So summon 8-bit Ghost. This is a giant circle of doom. Now, because this is doing dark damage, unfortunately, it's not so good on the Revenant. That's the only issue with this ability. But hey, it just blocked out his knife, so that's actually pretty cool. You get a giant shield in front of you. But let's try it on enemies that don't resist darkness. Now, this does move slower than the zombie, but it can move in the air, as you see. So you have a giant, slow-moving ball of death. Actually, it works just like the Ghost, essentially. But it's a constant hitbox. This can be good. I would say it's good to use on big enemies, mostly. Not really. I wouldn't really use the 48 MP for this one. I would, you know, to just kill any other normal enemy. Because it's dark type, and there's some enemies that resist dark, I would say this is better used, as I said, just on bigger enemies for good hitbox damage. But otherwise, just use 8-bit zombie. The hitbox is so big, you're not really, unless you're trying to get something above you that you can't reach. 8-bit zombie all the way. So
yeah, I like the zombie.
it's okay. Good damage, better than the like stronger than the ghost, but slower. I guess it would hit more times too, so it does make a teeny bit better, but it doesn't move as much, excuse me, as the ghost. All right, 8-bit flame. 8-bit flame is basically insatiable.
Because I've... Oh, there you go.
It's pretty much literally insatiable, but lasting a lot longer. You know, staying in the one room. Look at that, he's already dead.
Yeah, and that's crazy.
You know, if you use it here, though, it does have a range.
Oh, that's weird. It's
Yeah.
moving up.
It also follows
There.
whatever platform it can. This one will not be stopped by anything. It'll travel somehow to its location. But this is like a good, maybe, how do I put it? It costs, see, here's the problem. It costs 120 MP, but you are getting like 300, 400 damage a hit. So it can be stronger than Draconic Rage for
And it does
a little bit more
linger
MP.
quite a bit.
Yeah, it lasts a long time, very powerful ability. But this is better. You don't waste this on weaker enemies. Use this on the the end game enemies. This is where this will really shine. Very powerful ability, but the cost, I would say it's like I would say I mean, I love the visual part of it. I love what it does. I love the function. It's insatiable, but even more powerful, bigger hitbox. So it's pretty, I would say it's pretty sweet, but the MP cost is better used with Words of Wisdom, Jeebel's Glasses, and of course for endgame grinding on stronger enemies. So what about you? What's your ranking?
I don't know. I'd say it's pretty cool, and you get an awesome sick demon overlord following you.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now, the most controversial ability of this video. This guy, this is only just there, like, in my opinion, this is just here for your fun value. Like, if you manage to land this, consider it like Kate Sith. It's very powerful if you pull off the watermelon bomb. You can instantly kill certain boss. No, you'll instantly kill a lot of bosses with this if you get a jackpot with the watermelons. The bells, not so much, but we've only been able to get the bells, the watermelons, and the sevens. Never seen cherries. Never. Oh wow, okay, that was good. Sweet. Now I don't need to wait hours to actually show this all off. So the bell is not as good as the watermelons, but hey, it does hit in the air. A lot better there. Really high damage on all this stuff, except for, of course, the sevens. But, once again, it's all chance-based, and you have to rank this up if you really want to have a good chance at getting any of these. Oh, yay, bells. But, and see, before when I recorded this, it took me a lot of tries just to even get myself to land on some of these, even though I had rank 9. But, this is just something I would say is... Yeah, obviously it's luck-based. Yeah, see, here's the one I'm like, if you get this, it's actually bad because you can also get hurt by it, knocked around. Yay, fireworks, but that's like the one you don't want to get, really. It does not do anything. 7, I'm surprised they made 7's the bad one. But...
Almost something you want to do just for fun.
Yeah. As you see, it's pretty much guaranteed kill if you get that, but... this is just, like, as I said, so controversial. I can't really, it's possibly the most powerful move in the game. Possibly. Besides Hellhound. But the thing is, it's so inconsistent because it's luck-based. Not even your luck-based, but it's like, it's actual luck slots-based, possibly. That you just can't really, rely on it, necessarily. It's just something you do to stall on your opponent, be like, haha, watermelons, baby, yo, and then, the enemy's dead. But, yeah, you're only just using this for fun. I wouldn't say it's a good ability, and I would also say points down for not having, like, I don't know, I cannot get cherries or bar or anything with this. I just get the watermelons, the bells, and the sevens. Sometimes it gets close, but no. I've never seen cherries once. So if you guys have seen cherries bar or even the little circular symbol, then please like tell us what it does, if it's good or not. But powerful ability, unreliable because of luck, just there for your fun. I can't even give this a proper ranking.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's cool. It's very cool to have. It might be another ones that you can consider novel. It's a slot machine.
Exactly.
But it's not very practical.
Exactly. Just absolutely not practical. So that's all the abilities for the Conjure shards in the game. This took us 1 hour and nearly 40 minutes to cover. I don't know if you guys stayed for the whole time. Not even sure if I should just split this in half, but then we'd be talking on nowhere. So I might just keep it all together and upload it as is. I've seen people do their tier list videos up to 2 hours or an hour at least. So if you guys stayed along the way, awesome. Maybe to make things easier. Yeah, and thank you as well. Yes, exactly. You know, if you made it through and you watched the whole thing, then you are a champ. You are an absolute champ, you know. Because now we could discuss this. I could get your comments, and we could, because if there's an ability you think is a lot better, please just tell me all about it. Because when I first went into this, I went in believing like, wow, yeah, all these abilities are just so good. There's no bad ability here. But then slowly, as I ranked these up, my opinion changed over time, and now I'm like, well, there's a few abilities that are kind of I was hoping we would. I mean, this is better than all the other Castlevania games yet. You know, like Aria of Sorrow and Dawn of Sorrow, Portrait of Ruin, where we actually have, like, I'd say 90% or even 85% of the abilities are all usable. Like, you can go, you can do a run and just try maybe only using one ability or even using select abilities. Like, I'm only going to do summons and exclude summon Hellhound. You can do that, and that's amazing. That's really amazing. That's what I've always wanted. And I'm glad we actually have that, but at the same time, like, oh, I just wish those few abilities were a little better. I wish Flytrap would become bigger, not just be a tiny little thing on the ground still. Maybe it has that 1 in 8 chance, to become a giant Flytrap, like, or a Mocha Weed, like what we see in the end of the game. But otherwise, yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll be covering the other shards next. We'll do it in order of the menu, but so luckily this won't take as long the next time. Maybe what I'll do also, or if someone else does it in the comments, but maybe what I'll do is I will put time marks for each of these just to make it easier on you guys. I'll put that in description because I have to upload it to YouTube. The seconds might not be the same. But no, actually, I guess it will be, but it won't be the same in my video editor. But I'll put on YouTube. I'll add the seconds for each thing just to make it easier on you guys. And that way, if there's like certain abilities where you're like, nah, I don't want to hear his opinion on this or whatever, I'll put that there. Actually, that's useless for me to say at the end of this video. I should have put that at the beginning, I realized. But otherwise, yeah. Stay tuned for when we talk about blue shards. I gotta finish that. I gotta finish uploading the rest of my Let's Play. I'm already done with the game, as you guys could tell, for those of you who follow my channel, but I gotta upload the rest of that. All right. Any last words, Adam?
Not really.
All right.
Just keep on staining things with blood.
All right. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one. Peace out, and have a good day.
See ya.